Welcome back. Today's video is about Earl's nose bowl, attaching the snout portion to the lower nose bowl.
Okay, welcome back. So we've got the nose bowl to fit on the front of the aircraft. We've got some holes drilled in it where the clecos hold all the sheet metal to the fiberglass. We've done the same with the what we call the snout piece. It's the intake, the front of the airbox. And what we're going to do next is I'm going to glue that to the bottom of the nose bowl. So I'm going to use some resin with some adhesive filler in it and bond this physically to here using the holes I've already created. After I do that and it's cured, then I'm going to feather back the surface and use some fairing filler, maybe a small strip of fiberglass there, just to finish off that joint and make that joint 100% hidden, as if it was molded that way. So you might ask, why didn't we mold it that way from the beginning? It would have just been too difficult to get out of the mold. This was hard enough to get out of the mold as it is. If this didn't work out or we changed the tunnel, all we have to do is cut this off and change the bottom snout piece, you know, if the tunnel didn't work the way we wanted it to on the airplane, things like that. So that's why we didn't do it. So stay tuned, and I'll talk us through the process of gluing this together. Stay tuned. I'm just using some acetone on a paper towel, and I've already taken the snout piece and I've ground down the back side of it. I've run the roll-lock disc, grinding disc on it, just to make it a rough surface, something for an anchor profile for that resin to bond to. And I'm just wiping it off here with some acetone on a rag, and that dries, you know, in air pretty quick. And likewise, what I've done on the nose bowl in this area is I've come in with that same grinder and just feathered back the gel coat. Got a nice anchor profile. The resin will stick to the gel coat without issue. You don't have to get to the bare fiberglass, so to speak. There is a bunch of bare fiberglass in here. As you can see, it's almost see-through, just because it's not very thick. But I'll wipe that area down as well, make sure there's no dust or dirt on it, no oil, and we're ready to go. So here's the area that I've run the grinder on it, and you can, it's hard to see on the camera, but it's got a nice anchor profile now. You can see we've already pre-drilled the holes and fit this part, so it's not going to be an issue of getting it back in the same spot. And what we're going to do when we glue it on is we're just going to put it on with these drywall screws. So believe it or not, we made it through all these parts. So 3 molds, 3 parts, just under a gallon of resin. I think we were pretty efficient. A gallon of resin right now is going for $70-ish, $75, depending on where you buy it, what you buy. Okay, so this is straight up resin, ½ an ounce. We will put a little bit of high density fairing filler in here. We're not going to make it like a paste or a peanut butter type thickness like we would with the fairing filler, where we could spread it like body filler, but we're going to do it enough to thicken up and it's really by feel. Don't put too much in too fast. You put enough in to get the job done. So, and it's a little clumpy. Sometimes you got to work it a little bit with a stick to get it dissolved in there and get it thinned out. It takes more than you think. So you can sneak up on it, you can put it in 2 or 3 times. After you've done it a bunch of times, you kind of get a feel for how much you can add before it gets too thick. Okay, so it's not completely liquidy, but it's thicker, and I think I'm going to have to put a little bit more in just to make sure that it doesn't leave the areas I don't want it to leave. I want it to stay and get in the joint, and we're probably going to have to help that a little bit by putting some masking tape on it. There we go. That's a little bit thicker. Okay, so now, pretty thick, stays on the stick. Okay. Just put some on the part itself. So we've got the resin on the part, we've got it on the edge, and now we're going to install it. Just got to find the holes again, and we'll be all set. There we go. Okay, so I've got it screwed on here. The screws that I started with, these were little drywall screws. They just weren't big enough diameter, large enough diameter to really get a good bite between the two pieces of fiberglass. So I just swapped it out with a little bit heavier sheet metal screw, and that seemed to get it to bite down there. I'm gonna grab the camera quick and show you what it looks like right now, and then I'm gonna clean up the mess on it. So as you can see, the glue, the resin is squirted out of the joint. But let me come around the back side and you can see the magic. So if you look in there, that is fully bonded. Come out of the edge there. The camera probably isn't showing it all that well, but it's fully squeezed out inside and out of the joint. So that means it's fully bonded. It's good to go. So I'm just going to clean up this this residual off of here, smooth it all out, and that'll be it. All right, so I've got it glued on. It's got the screws in it. I did some work on the inside where the seam is, and I'll take the camera and show you that in a second. And I'll wait for that to dry overnight, and then tomorrow I'll pull the screws out and check the rigidity, check how good it's bonded on there. It should be awesome. Let me show you a couple of small little details here. So as I said, I had to switch screws. I got some screws with some more bite. So what I did, as you saw a few minutes ago, I had a lot of the glue, a lot of the resin that had come out of that joint and was sitting on top of the edge of the nose bowl. But if I get down here on the profile, you can see how well this was molded to fit. So it'll be very little actual finish work. Just a little bit of blending in there with some fairing filler. And so you might be asking, what's the tape? So where this part ended, where it ended right here, there was a small gap. There was no, there's no, I guess, 90-degree turn for that to connect this part to this part, kind of the shape of the tape. So what I did is I put tape on the outside. I pulled some of that resin, some of that glue that was inside there around to the corner, got it filled in there, as you can see, against that tape. And then I cut 2 small pieces of fabric for each side, and I just laid them in kind of like a down and then out, maybe at half an inch or less on each side. And I put 2 layers of that on each side, and that'll just bond that to there. It'll give us some rigidity. It will take away the fulcrum, the fulcrum effect that if this was off the plane and you tried to pick this up, it'll take that effect away of it trying to break that bond. It makes the whole part a little bit stronger, changes the moment of inertia there a little bit on that joint. So that's that. And one more thing to look at. So these screws are not permanent, obviously, but one thing you want to make sure you do after you put these screws is you want to come in and clean the ends of these screws off. There'll be a big ball of resin stuck to those. You want to clean those off. If you don't clean those off, you go to turn that back out of there and you got this ball of resin. It's just going to wobble out your hole, make your hole even bigger. Might get your screw stuck in there, might break something, jack the bond joint apart or something like that. So no issues now. This will come apart pretty easy, I think, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. So that's that. All right, so if you saw the video that we made on Tuesday, which would be April 5, Earl and I were in the hangar. We had the nose bowl on the airplane, all the clecos. We drilled all the holes for the doors. We trimmed the doors. We had all that done. The airplane is ready to accept the nose bowl after we get the nut plates and the cam locks and things like that in there. So as you saw here, glued the snout on. That'll be part of the lower nose bowl permanently. And once I have this glued and the screws pulled out, this can go right back on the airplane for Earl to make the holes a little bit bigger to get some play and everything. And then once we get all the nut plates and everything needed on the nose bowl, it'll come back here to the shop and we will sand it down, make it nice, put some primer on it, sand it and paint it. And hopefully that's pretty soon. Gotta get this project done. The weather's starting to get nice outside. Earl wants to fly this thing and get some time on this new engine. So that's it for today. Like, share, subscribe. Please put your comments in. If you think we're doing something wrong, if you think we're doing something right, if you like the video, please let us know. If you don't like the video, let us know what we can do better. If there's Facebook.com, Whitman Buttercup, looseair.com, buy a set of plants, build a Buttercup. Build anything, just build something. Again, thanks for watching. See you next time.
Thanks again for watching. Stay tuned for our next videos. We're going to be finishing up the